It was a typical scene for anyone familiar with the Lux life that Floyd Money Mayweather flaunts on social media. The 48-year-old former champ sitting on the couch of a private jet, counting heaps of $100 bills and telling you why you envy him so much. Continue to hate, Mayweather said in a September video as he piled the stacks of cash into a clear plastic bag. You know, people only talk about winners. I'm a winner, so continue to talk. Now, what prompted me to look into this, and Business Insider just did a big look into Floyd's finances, is these fake Stephen A. Jackson exposes Floyd Money Mayweather is broke. Now, those were AI, Stephen Jackson doing a story on Floyd. And I thought it was some type of hit piece because, you know, social media now is used as a way to attack people. Like you launch a fake story out and see what happens. So I don't know why. Maybe just someone thought they were going to make some money, you know, and slap Stephen Jackson, the commentator, on it. But those are all fake. But Floyd's financial problems appear to be real. Now, Money Mayweather, as he calls himself, ended his pro career, as we know, a while back in 2017. He was 50-0. He got more than $1 billion in boxing paydays. Of course, you had to pay taxes. You had to pay manager. He didn't have a manager to end. There's different costs, which made him the 10th highest paid athlete of all time. Since his retirement, he's fashioned himself as a business mogul. But his business moguldom seems to be more like him buying stuff. Bugattis, Richard Mille watches, Gucci down from head to toe, more and more mansions. That's showing him spending money and not making it. I'm financially set. I want everybody to know this, he said in 2021. Now, that was 5 years ago. Every property I have is paid for. My jet is paid for. All my cars are paid for. I own billion-dollar buildings. Before we go any further, I was once hired in Detroit. Shout out to the guys. They paid him $75,000 to appear at a Don Diva party. And this was a year he fought this was probably 2014. He fought somebody, and I remember calculating that he had made like $150,000 a day, averaged out that year. And I was like, why would he even come to Detroit to make $75,000? And it was the weirdest party. Like, they filled up Cobo Hall. It was one of the last of the Detroit dope man parties. Everyone came out in their minks. There was a big famous fight between two sets of rappers and all this stuff. But he stood on the stage for like 3 hours. Just let people look at him, and he looked at people. He didn't interact. The girls all reached for him. It was strange. It was like something out of a 2,000 years ago, like an emperor on the stage, and you just look at him and you try to touch him. I don't know. But anyways, all that bragging about everything I own is paid for. Well, that's not true no more. He's been taking out loans and mortgages starting last year. This big Business Insider breakdown shows. He's faced a string of lawsuits and liens. A lien is when you didn't pay a bill and someone goes to court and says, you know, this person didn't pay me, so the next time some money passes through the court system, snatch it and give it to me. So he has a lien on a Maybach G-Wagon, jet fuel, and $500 worth of garbage collection at his Las Vegas mansion. Now, I'm sure he has $500. And when you own a bunch of stuff, I mean, at one time I had an office, an apartment, a place in the desert, 2 cars, paying different people, cable bills. You could forget to pay a bill. So, I don't know. But I don't know how you forget to pay a G-Wagon bill or for jet fuel. So, all the while he's getting sued, you may have seen him trumpeting up his major entry into big commercial real estate deals. Fall of 2024, he talked about buying hundreds of millions of real estate in New York through his newly formed real estate firm. He even got to speak at a real estate strategy conference session His session was entitled Real Estate Knockout, the Floyd Mayweather Strategy. Big talk doesn't always end in big deals, Business Insider found. Now, Mayweather's social media post last year showed an article that reported he'd made a deal to invest $100 million at once in a portfolio, so a group of Manhattan luxury high-rise apartment towers owned by another company. Now, people who claim to be in the know, I think people from some of these other real estate companies, said that actually Mayweather put in a nominal sum, maybe a few million, just to have his name in it, which is what a lot of these athletes do, like Jay-Z's 132nd% ownership of the Nets or whatever, so that they could force out black business owners from Fort Greene to put in the Barclays Center, but that's another story. So he put in a nominal sum to have his name in it, not $100 million. And then his sum, because he didn't come up with the rest, or he didn't want to come up with the rest, just got absorbed. His little bit of equity got absorbed into this bigger fund with these other partners, leaving him with no stake. And the portfolio of buildings was so large it was spun off into a publicly traded company. But he doesn't have any of the stock. In February of last year, 2025, Mayweather, well, this is where he got really grandiose. He said he bought a portfolio of rent-regulated buildings. I don't know if that made Section 8 or just, well, New York has rent control, in Upper Manhattan, which could be Section 8 rent control if it's like Washington Heights, Harlem, for $402 million, declaring all the buildings belong to me. I have no partners. Now, okay, so he generated $1 billion after taxes, fees, living for the last 20 years. I don't know. We don't know of him having any other successful businesses. I don't know where he'd have $402 million from. Business Insider couldn't find any property records showing Floyd Mayweather or any company that he owns owning anything. And there needs to be some type of paper trail. I mean, unless you're hiding your money and doing money laundering, but then why would you announce it? So it doesn't really make sense. Meanwhile, well, right near my father's house, well, my father lives in Detroit, but there's a suburb, Dearborn, that had one of the Mayweather. He had like a chain of gyms. Those went out of business. People weren't getting paid. In the last year or so, 2 of Mayweather's commercial properties have been foreclosed, and he's right now at risk of losing a Las Vegas building that houses his strip club girl collection. There's $52,000 in back penalties and taxes. There's been a bunch of lawsuits accusing him of getting watches in Dubai, not paying for them. Him acting like they were gifts and leaving with them and then not paying. He's also been pursued by creditors over Air Mayweather, the jet that he famously is always jumping on and on off. He sold the plane, so he doesn't have a jet anymore. He sold his jet, sold his mansion in Beverly Hills. He sold his mansion in Miami. Business Insider looked through hundreds of pages of public records, interviewed a lot of people who knew him and were part of these business things, and talked about and got into figuring out who his new team around him is. Because remember, his uncle died, his father has dementia. He doesn't work with the genius guy, who's the blank guy? Al Heyman. They parted ways. He has a felon, a white, I don't know if he's Jewish, seems like a white Jewish felon that's his buddy now that's in his camp. He doesn't seem to have guardrails in place. Mark Trados, a Las Vegas attorney who used to represent Mayweather during his professional fighting career, told Business Insider, when you got pros doing things for you, you're better protected. When you're out on your own, your protection is dropped. Now, Mayweather's current lawyer, of course, said Mayweather's not facing any current financial strain. But why is he lying about 400? I mean, it could be just that he's a guy now with no boxing and no excitement. You know, you get addicted to he has to, and he's presented himself with these huge sums of money. So now to fulfill, boy, the human mind is a hell of a thing. To excite himself, he has to lie about business deals. So, like I said, the core group around Mayweather began to break up once he stopped fighting. He parted ways with Al Heyman, his secretive, legendary Kaiser Soze-like boxing manager from the late 2000s until Mayweather's retirement. He broke up with Leonard Ellaby, the longtime CEO of Mayweather Promotions. That was the guy that was always talking a lot of ish. Roger Mayweather, his trainer, died in 2020. And Floyd Sr. supposedly suffers from dementia. So now this new guy has popped up. The white gentleman, a lot of white felons pop up in these black celebrity worlds. There's one with the Wu-Tang Clan, or there was. That's a different story I keep forgetting to do. Jonah Rechnitz, 41-year-old scion means son, of a well-connected LA family who gained notoriety for his role as a government informant following his 2016 guilty plea in a sweeping New York City corruption probe. Rechnitz's fall from grace in New York was spectacular. He was a former employee of billionaire diamond magnate Lev Leviev, so he probably was Jewish, Africa-Israel Investments. Rechnitz had positioned himself as a high-flying real estate developer and major political donor to then Mayor de Blasio. He admitted in federal court to bribing NYPD, New York police, with institutes, private jet trips, perhaps on Floyd's plane, trips to the Super Bowl, and lavish gifts in exchange for favors like gun licensing, very hard to get a gun in New York, and fixing parking tickets. But the real crazy thing he had to admit to on the stand was that he testified he delivered a Ferragamo, one of the man bags, stuffed with 60 grand to Norman Seabrook, the head of the Correction Officers Benevolent Association. So think of it like a Jimmy Hoffa Teamsters thing. So these big unions, like the New York Police Department has been huge for 100 years. They got a lot of pension money that they can invest. He gave this guy $60,000 in cash, and this guy approved $20 million in investments that Rechnitz could make. $19 million of the money was lost. So to lose 19 of 20 million, I mean, fuck, what, did you go to the casino over and over? So Rechnitz, now mind you, this is Floyd's new buddy, his new financial advisor. Rechnitz became what prosecutors called, quote, one of the single most important and prolific white-collar cooperating witnesses in the recent history of the Southern District of New York, testifying in multiple federal corruption trials. He claimed to have weekly phone conversations with Mayor de Blasio on his personal cell phone in exchange for campaign contributions. De Blasio, of course, was never charged. Now in court, Rechnitz paints himself as a changed man. While living in New York, I felt pressure to become a big shot, he told the judge. Sound familiar with Floyd Mayweather? 5 months in prison, 5 months house arrest, but he's yet to serve any time. He got sentenced to 10 months in 2019. Five months in prison, 5 months and house arrest, but he's yet to serve any time. His sentencing has been repeatedly delayed and reassigned to different judges. But he remains free nearly 9 years after pleading guilty. So he's been out of jail for 9 years. The guy hasn't even done his 5 months. So he's got his hand in the corruption cookie jar still, it seems like. After the scandal, he moved back to LA, where he's from, and became a jeweler. He launched Jadel Jewelry and Diamonds, leveraging connections to celebrities like Kim Kardashian, Shaq, and Scottie Pippen. By 2019, he was hosting lavish events at the Hotel Bel Air with the Kardashians, and his jewelry had appeared on the cover of Vogue Japan. So this is an interesting insight into really, once you're in the mix of like the rich and the famous people, you know, if you're Mayweather's boy, someone may just put you on the cover of Vogue Japan, which is where he got his jewelry put at, with I think one of the Kardashians wearing it. So gotta be legit, right? So, but then he starts getting hit with lawsuits. He was getting his diamonds and jewelry on consignment. He wasn't paying for them or returning them. One lawsuit alleged he took $15 million in goods from Southern California diamond dealers. Sotheby's was sued for $4 million after releasing diamonds to someone claiming to be Recknitz's agent. Diamonds that were actually owned by another jeweler as collateral for Reckner's debts. Another guy sued him for $2.9 million. Blah, blah, blah. The FBI is currently investigating the alleged theft or taking by frauds of millions of dollars in diamonds while on consignment with Jadel. He tried to go bankrupt in 2020 with Jadel, but it was dismissed. So they were not letting him go bankrupt. So this guy, remember, he's been pending off this last case for 9 years, and he's racking up all the while he's sitting next to Money Mayweather courtside and being his business advisor and his buddy. He's ranking up more and more potential charges. They don't play around. You start getting into them tens of millions of dollars of frauds, people want to see you go to prison, and you should, because if, as we know, if one of us sells a couple of 8 balls to an undercover cop, we're going to jail. So if you defraud somebody out of $10 million, you should definitely go. Mayweather has credited Recknitz as the architect of his post-boxing business success. What success is that? Getting sued, having to sell your jet and 2 mansions, claiming you buy property that there's no record of. They hang out at NBA games. Reckner wears the TMT logo. You know, it's funny, just like mainstream people get excited to hang out with hood people sometimes. You know, if you're Floyd Mayweather, you're from the hood in Grand Rapids, you spent your whole life in boxing gyms, you got punked out by Jay Prince, you got punked out by 50 Cent. Recknitz is like an easy guy to deal with, or so you think. He's really working you out all your money, and he probably Recknitz has introduced him to this world of kind of seemingly nice, trustworthy white people, but they're going to steal with the velvet glove. You're not even going to know that it happens, and they're going to really hit you for the big money. So, in a lot of these lawsuits brought against Mayweather, Recknitz is in them too. In 2024, a high-end jeweler in Miami accused Mayweather of stiffing him on a $3.9 million bill for various jewelry and watches. So, you know, Floyd is always showing, I just bought this Patek. Again, why do you need to buy all these watches? It's, who cares? Patek Philippe and 2 Richard Milles. That's $4 million. Suleiman said in a lawsuit that Recknitz, though not named as a defendant, set up the meetings where the jewelry was shown. Mayweather just left with the jewelry and didn't pay it. Now, it has been settled out of court. We don't know what he paid or what happened. Maybe he ended up paying. Maybe that's why he had to sell some of his stuff. In September, a Las Vegas dealer sued Mayweather, accusing him of leaving his car lot with the G-Wagon and never paying for it. And then Mayweather didn't want to give it back and said he sold him a bad car. A bad new G-Wagon? Come on now. Business Insider found 3 different cases where Mayweather and Recknitz have been together, accused of fraud or misrepresentation. I did a story some years back about him and Kim Kardashian doing a pump and dump on a cryptocurrency thing. And then in a weird case, a Miami entrepreneur sued Recknitz, Mayweather, and A.L. Frist some other guy, accusing them that they would charge for access to celebrities, including Elon Musk, and they failed to deliver. Now, the guy that's suing them was trying to pay for access because they made back during that stupid NFT thing. He wanted Musk to promote an online auction of his NFTs, which sounds, why would Musk care about that? And why would Musk care about getting some money to show up at a thing like that? Recognizing them just say, hey, nobody wanted this guy's junky NFTs. So that's probably true. But nonetheless, if you pay somebody to get somebody to show up and they don't show up, and the way he paid them was with 20 grand and 2 watches. Elon Musk definitely don't want 20 grand and 2 watches. So it sounds like they're just, because Mayweather's so famous, almost anything's believable. They'll just say, oh, hey, what do you got on you? Give me 20,000 in that watch and I'll hook you up with Elon Musk. So it goes on and on and on and on. We'll just finish up with his mounting debts. While Mayweather was drawing millions against his real estate portfolio, so he's pulling out loans against stuff he had bought and paid for, bills were piling up elsewhere. In February, a Las Vegas commercial building that Mayweather bought for $3.6 million in 2024, he got sold at auction to its previous owner at a loss. 2 condos he owned in a Trump Las Vegas residence were seized for unpaid property taxes, though Mayweather did show up with the $21,000 and paid them and got them back. And then there was also the $568 lien on a Las Vegas mansion for unpaid trash collection. That could just be an accident. He was sued for $137,000 in unpaid jet fuel, $358,000 in maintenance work. Well, that's probably why he sold a jet. He couldn't afford to keep it. And he trashed the pilot's reputation. A.J. Ramey, Mayweather's former pilot, complained on social media, the boxer trashed my reputation and relationships by never paying his jet debts. But Ramey said, Mayweather claims he's paid it off. Ramey said he hasn't. In 2023, a Nigerian media company got $2.5 million awarded because they paid Mayweather to make appearances in Africa he never made. Boom, boom. There's just so much stuff. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, a retail gym model. That was the one that said by my dad's house. And Mayweather's fitness routines were sold in August. More than half of Mayweather's fitness studios, which once boasted more than 70 locations, have shut down, and a group of franchisees have sued Mayweather and company executives for allegedly making false and misleading statements about the businesses. His only big post-retirement checks, he's fighting people like Logan Paul and John Gotti III because he has to. And now he's lined up to fight Mike Tyson, which is kind of embarrassing, if you ask me. So he's doing all these goofy fights because he needs the money. He met a con man. I mean, how do you meet a guy that testified he bribed a union official, got on the stand and talked about it, and now you're letting him be in all your business deals? And, you know, I can see the lifestyle of being rich and famous. You don't want to give it up. You tell a lie here, you tell a lie there. You're able to walk off with a watch and trick yourself to think, oh, he just gave that to me. Why would someone give a $3 million watch to someone who supposedly just bought $400 million in buildings? Floyd, must be said for the record, has filed a defamation suit against Business Insider, but they haven't retracted nothing. So filing lawsuits to try to scare media is common, but, you know, when they do stories about famous people, supposedly rich people, they try not to make any mistakes. They got a whole law team that vets everything they looked at. Because, you know, you could ruin. Hulk Hogan ruined, what was that? Gawker Media. I don't know if you remember years back, they released the Hulk Hogan SEX tape, and he got Peter Thiel to put money behind him, and they ruined Gawker, and Gawker kind of went away. So I don't think Business Insider would have done this without really validating it. So Floyd Money Mayweather may be coming to a nightclub near you to host. $2,500 a night. The Money Team. Be careful getting addicted to money. And I know a guy, I'm friends with a guy who used to date. He was a big drug dealer, and he dated one of the same girls Mayweather dated. And they all know each other. It's all kind of like, it's not like a poly relationship. I mean, my guy doesn't mess with him now. He can't afford her. But it's just this whole world of ultra wealth, and no one really has any standards. At least, obviously not everybody with ultra wealth doesn't have standards, but there's certain sets of people. And for these athletes especially, and if you can't read, remember 50 Cent punked him by proving he can't read. Floyd, man, invest some time to read. You're just signing contracts, and these people are taking all your money. But he had a weird personality when I met him. He just literally seemed like he liked people adoring him. It was weird. It was weird. He was like an 8th grade girl that just wanted to be told he was pretty over and over. So if you saw that, been seeing those Floyd Mayweather's bankrupt stories on YouTube, those are kind of fake, but I don't know if there's fire. There's definitely smoke, because all this stuff is going on. Now, Profit American don't.